Hello, I'm Kettlepip, and welcome back to Final Fantasy XIV, and to another dungeon thing. This time we're taking a quick blast through Copperbell Mines, which is the third dungeon that you'll play through in the game. And I'm with Guildies again, and we've got Missing Reel, who's a conjurer, and he's our healer, and Bailey, who's a lancer, and Nebulum, who's a thaumaturge. And I'm actually back on the Marauder, which I haven't played for a couple of days, so I'm probably going to be a bit rusty. So the instance takes about 25 minutes. It's probably a little bit longer than Tamtara, but it's also a lot more fun. The trash is a little bit more interesting, and there's probably a little bit less of it. But the best thing about Copperbell, is that you finally get some interesting boss fights. And unlike the previous two dungeons where it was a bit like, okay, you got some tank and spanks, and then we'll have one reasonably interesting final boss. They're really good all the way through. And there are 3 of them. So you make your way through the first couple of rooms, and it's the usual dungeon stuff in here that occasionally things drop keys. And you loot the keys, and it allows you to open the door and move on. And you take your first lift down. For the first part of the dungeon, most of the trash that you fight is these Spriggans and Coblins, and the Coblins don't do very much at all. They're just kind of there being Coblins. But the Spriggans, they have a couple of casts. One's like got a ground target for a cone away AoE, which you can just step out the way of, or stun them, or whatnot. And the other one is just a cast bar, and I think it's called Spriggan Dance or something like that. And although it's just like, it looks like it's just casting on the tank, it's actually conal as well, so if you can stun that or get out of the way, that kind of helps. There are a lot of patrols in here, and sometimes the patrols will time themselves beautifully. So you get a nice run with mobs just sort of turning up at just the right time. And other times the patrols turn up at exactly the wrong time, and you end up with a huge pile of clusterfuck and have to just chew your way through it. And just like the other dungeons, there are rooms off to the sides of the main pathway. And in there you can find 2 different types of things for the most part. The first thing is treasure chests, so they're full of monies. And the other thing you'll find in here is occasionally fire sand. And fire sand becomes important for 2 things later on. Firstly, you need a bunch of it for one of the bosses, which we'll kind of talk about when we get there. And secondly, use the fire sand to explode holes in the mine rock faces, and that let you through the dungeon. This happens a few times on the way round. You'll be fighting a mob quite happily, and all of a sudden a big massive axe dude comes piling through the wall. So have your tank try and pick him up as quick as possible, and try and point them away from the group, because they've got a cleave. other than having a cleave and hitting reasonably hard. They don't do too much interesting, they've just got fucking loads of health. So, as well as the Spriggans and the Coblins, you also get some sprites thrown into the mix, and these will just constantly cast on you. They're not as problematic as the Spriggans, but I'm kind of just being lazy and sticking a target marker on the first thing I see. Yeah. Here's kind of a good example where patrols can kind of turn up and just wreck your shit if you're not careful. So with a Coblin and a Sprite, and then this Spriggan joins in, and there's actually, I think, another Spriggan patrol which comes around as well. So if you're really lucky, you can kind of end up with 4 here. And one of the Spriggans that we killed in the previous pack also passed along here, so you could end up with technically 5 mobs quite quickly. And bless Niblim, our thaumaturge, he's being really insistent on trying to be good and crowd controlling and CCing things, but I'm all like, rah, marauder, smash, and playing really badly and just breaking every bit of CC that he tries to do. And on cue, there's your next patrol, and sometimes it just lines up quite nicely like that. And as you come along here, along this rock face edge thing, careful, there's a patrol that comes out, one of the many ones, but there's some fire sand on that. It looks like a lift entrance just to the right here, so don't forget to grab that, it'll come in useful. So in this room, as well as there being some fire sand on a big mound of stuff, is one of the reasons why you need to be grabbing the fire sand. So you can see there, missing reel, planted the fire sand in the wall, and Bailey hits the detonator, and you get through, and you're now into the first boss's room. So it's something different. You start off with waves of Spriggans and the occasional bomb. And the way that I've tended to find the best way to deal with this is just kind of have everyone stack up in the middle and just twat stuff as it comes in. They don't hit particularly hard, so if the group takes a whack or two, it doesn't matter. Just kind of wait until there's a few. Once you've got a few bound up the middle, just start AoEing and stuff just falls over. So after a couple of waves, you get a little bit of a breather and get to build some TP back up. And if you're tanking, it's kind of useful, well, for everyone I guess, to kind of save a bit of TP. These guys haven't got an awful lot of health, so you don't need to go too mad anyway, but there's kind of a phase 2, so if you go into phase 2 with absolutely no TP, then it can be interesting. Been there, done that. And you get a massive axe dude jump in, and he's pretty much the same as the trash mob versions that you find all the way through. He's got a cleave, so point him away from the rest of the group. But he's actually got less health than the trash mobs, and he falls over really, really quickly. Now you start getting some bogeys thrown into the mix, and they don't do anything particularly special. One thing to note, I guess, is once these bogeys are dead, there is a treasure chest, which almost everyone forgets to loot, just around the corner to the left. You take the next lift down. When you get out of the lift, you come into like a hub area, and in the rooms to the right and the left, I think there's a treasure chest in one side, and both sides have got bombs in. And when you kill the bomb, he drops a fire sand. If you can go into the second boss with a few fire sands on you, it makes things an awful lot quicker. And now you're pretty much at the second boss, who's probably the most interesting boss that I've seen in the game so far, in my meager experience. So he's a blob, and when you start the fight he is immune to all damage, so apart from the tank there's no point in anyone going in and whacking away on him. And there is a device next to him which requires fire sand to use, which is why it was really important to go and grab them all. And when you use the device, it spawns a bomb, and the most important thing when you do spawn the bomb is not to kill it, you need it. There are ads that will spawn on the platform here to the right hand side, and they will try and kill the bomb, so your DPS really are just kind of concentrating on making sure those spawned ads don't kill the bomb. Once the bomb does show up, if you're a tank, just put a whack on it and just hold it there. Just stop attacking. It's got almost no health. And when the bomb explodes, it breaks the blob into two, and they're still immune. So when the bomb explodes, you get a big targeting reticule on the ground, which you need to run out of. If you don't run out of it in time, it does a really hefty amount of damage. And if you're on low health as a tank or something, you could quite easily get one shot. So here we've got the next bomb up, and we're just waiting for it to explode. And then Bailey comes in and does something really daft and kills the bomb. Welp. So you need to wait for the device to respawn itself, and then get your next bomb, target something else, and just chill out until it explodes. Here we go, move out of the AoE, boom, and this time it splits into 4. They're still immune, and you need to do exactly the same thing again until you get your third bomb to explode on them. If you happen to run out of fire sand through screwing up the bombs, which happens in pickup groups and just now quite regularly, when you kill the ads that spawn in here, they actually drop the fire sand as well, so you can always get more. So we've got the third bomb, hopefully it's going to explode on them, and when it does they split into lots of little ones and they suddenly become vulnerable, and you can just steam in an AoE the crap out of them. And that's it, done. And you get 2 treasure coffers here. So you kind of leave the mine at this point and enter a system of tunnels and caves and things. There's a couple of new mobs. You get these kind of crab things, which do like a conal round targeted ability, which you can either stun or move out of. And you get these wolves with wings. Yeah. So you just work your way down the tunnels, and there is a treasure chest on the way, bunch of mobs to kill, and you kind of loop back on yourself. And once you loop back, you're pretty much almost at the last boss. And when you pull the last 2 hound, wing, wolf things. A few seconds after you've pulled them, another one of the big axe guys comes piling through the wall. So the tanks just pick that up quite quickly. And this pack can be a little bit awkward because you really want to keep the guy with the axe not pointed at the rest of the group. And I just love how massive they are compared to my little Lalafell tank. So once you've gone through the wall and you killed another pack of mobs, you just drop down a slope and you're at the last boss of the dungeon. And he's another one of these massive dudes, but this time he's got a big hammer. So have your tank just pick him up and keep him in the middle of the room. And he behaves again just like the trash packs. He's got a massive cleave. Hits reasonably hard. And he's got I think it's almost 180 degrees ground targeted cleave that you can avoid. You can't actually stun it, so just get out. After you lop up a bit of his health, he goes running off to this wall here and starts trying to break it, which he does. And once he's broken that hole in the wall, you will get ads come through, and the ads will come and start trying to break the wall on the opposite side of the room. And what you want to do is have your DPS stop the ad breaking the wall. If they manage to break the wall, then you get a whole bunch of ads come through. So what I did with the boss here, after he had broken his wall, was brought him down and nearer to the second wall, which means that I can still keep him from cleaving the group, but at the same time they haven't got quite as far to run. And you just carry on. Killing the ads, do some damage to the boss, avoid the cleave. And eventually you'll get to a point where you've probably got a limit break up, which we haven't for some reason. I can't remember using it. And if you get him down to around 20%, you can use like a damage limit break and pretty much ignore the ads and just drop him. There you go, one dead massive hammer dude. And the last of 3 pretty fun boss fights. I like this instance, it's good. That was Copperbell Mines. I think it's definitely a step up from Sastasha and Tam Tam in terms of having to work together as a group a bit more. And I'm really looking forward to seeing a dungeon that isn't underground and really dark. And I think there's some of that coming up soon, so I'm quite looking forward to that. I hope this dungeon thing was useful or interesting to somebody. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.